Alright, everybody, today I want to talk to you about scents for fishing. So, I know there is a lot of skepticism out there with scent, whether it attracts the fish, whether it makes them hold on longer. I'm not going to sit here and tell you 100% that is the best thing since sliced bread. I may think that, but I'm not going to tell you that because I know this is a very difficult thing for. It's kind of you got to try it to believe it, and there's just so much skepticism out there. People just don't want to believe that a scent product like these right here really will increase your chances of catching fish, or at least have them either by attracting them and getting them to bite or by holding on longer. At the end, I will give you a little secret tip that I have that I think really increases the chances of you landing a fish, especially after they hit the lure. So stick around for that and kind of start with my journey with scents. It goes back 30 years from when I was crappie fishing. So we go up to a kind of with a family trip deal, and we just fished a lake that was just a crappie lake. That was pretty much all that was in there, crappie. It was a shallow lake. You just floated whichever the wind direction was. You just pick the side that would let you drift across the lake, and you just cast out for crappie. You fish Mr. Twister grubs, and generally I would catch the most fish. What was my secret? Those little Berkeley crappie nibbles. Actually, not exactly little, if anybody remembers them, but they were kind of a dough ball type stuff, different colors, red, chartreuse. I think there is one other, but red and chartreuse were the two that I used the most, and it seemed like they worked because I ended up catching the most fish, and I was happy with it, and we caught enough crappie that we could get meals. So that was kind of my first introduction to scents, and then from then on I tried some here or there, and I had marginal results. I had okay results, but you had to put stuff on the lure so often. I tried some of the original Berkeley liquid scents because crappie nibbles were great. Let's try some of this Berkeley liquid stuff. Well, the problem was I'd put it in could it get all over the boat if you weren't careful. You had to kind of hang the lure out. Tried putting some in the bottom of a coffee cup, one of those throwaway ones to dip the lure in, but it just made a mess and it didn't seem to last on the lure. And then I ended up finding this Atlas Mike's brand, which really, really, really opened my eyes to what scent could do for bass. Used this stuff for years until I found the Liquid Mayhem product, but this stuff worked great for me. It was a little hard to get at the time, and still is. Not that at that time it was pretty much a Bass Pro order, and if I remember right, they didn't always have it in, but it caught me a lot of smallmouth, a lot of bass. I used it up north, fishing reed beds, used it on the river, and it worked really, really, really good. Then I don't know how many years ago Liquid Mayhem came out. Let's call it 9, maybe 10. Saw it in Twitter, now X, of course, and said, hey, I'm going to try some of that. And kind of followed them, tried it, fished it for a year and a half, had just tremendous luck with it. It's another gel scent, but it came in a bunch of different scent flavors. I did kind of work with the company a little bit to try and get placement locally. It's, as I said, everybody's so skeptical of scents. Nobody really gave them samples. Didn't give a high pressure sales pitch. Just hey, this is like a year after I tried using it. Said, hey, here, do you guys want to try this? Here's a couple tubes. give it a try. Here's a card to call if you want it. Honestly, I don't know if any of the shops got it. I'm guessing not. Pretty much got run out of one shop. Just guy was pleasant, just trying to give him a free sample, and he didn't even want the free sample, so it was really bizarre. But so yeah, I kind of just I believed in this product, early adopter, whatever, and ultimately the not pro staff, just field staff. I've been on that, whatever, year and a half after I started using it, they just kind of said, hey, do you want to join us? I'm like, sure. So just in all transparency, yes, I am on their field staff. Regardless if I was, I'd still be having this same conversation. But where it's at is gel scents. There is one scent out there that swim bait guys love and swear by. It's a gel scent as well. That is the only gel scent that did not work for me. I won't name the brand specifically because it works for a lot of other people. It just did not work for me. So the best way, I'm not going to sell anybody because, like I said, everybody's skeptical of it, and that's fine. Now, there are some people that will be skeptical of it, but then they'll make sure they go out and buy their actually it might be Gambler, the ugly little otter that got smell. You open the bag, it just smells something awful of garlic. You open up a bag of Chomper's tubes, if anybody's had those things. You can wash those things. You can dull the scent of garlic. It's ridiculous. It just about runs you out of the house. It's just something terrible. You got to keep them in a bag because they smell so strong. It's just ridiculous. Or Berkeley power bait. Or you'll have guys and gals that I've seen on some of the forums who they're like, oh no, you don't need scent, we'll never use scent, blah blah blah. But then when the Max Scent flatworm craze took on with that, you couldn't get them. I've actually never fished them because I'm more of a Ned. My kind of go-to is I'll fish drop shot baits as Ned baits. I don't really do a lot of drop shot fishing. If I do, it's in non-standard ways. But yeah, people that were against scent are like, oh, we gotta have these Max Scent worms, which part of the deal with those is scent. So scent I really think does matter, but the best case I can make for it is I was on a fishing trip up north, and I probably caught 5 or 6 fish and had 5 or 6 fish in a boat, decent fish, but I was getting bites all over the place. It was pretty active for me. Father-in-law was in the back throwing the same bait, just he couldn't get a bite for the life of him. He just couldn't get bit. Finally, I just said, all right, after like an hour, I'm like, all right, you gotta try it. I'm like, all right, I threw the tube back at him and said, just put a little bit on. Within 5 casts, he had his first hit, and maybe a minute later, he started catching fish. Is it a coincidence? Maybe, but to me, and this has happened, seen this happen a couple other times too. It wasn't just that one incident. I don't think it's a coincidence. I've had times where the stuff runs up. It's not even a confidence thing because I'm not even paying attention. Because this stuff, depending on the bait, I've had it last 30, 40 casts before you got to reapply. What I've found is the drier baits, it'll stay on better. Baits that are real oily. Sorry, I just had a fan over on the side that tried to fall down. Oily baits, I think just because of the oil, no matter, I always, like if I've got oily baits, I rinse that stuff off. I just don't like an oily bait, but yeah, it seems like this, any of these gel scents they'll still stay on there for multiple casts, but the oilier the bait they are, the more often you'll have to reapply. The drier baits, it stays on there longer, Now it is a gel scent, so it's not going to give you something like the spray stuff, the what is it, the Bang in the aerosol can. I've never used it, but something like that that's going to run off, that's going to leave a little bit larger of a trail. But if you do put these in the water, you will see a trail coming off it. So, you know, it does give a trail for them to follow. I will freely admit, when I'm fishing the river, unless they're downstream of the bait, you know, you can never see what the fish is doing in the river, so you don't know if they caught a whiff of it downstream and came upstream and nailed it. But they definitely hit and hold on really good in the river, especially with some of the baits that I use, and that secret little trick. But I think on a lake situation, that definitely can bring them in. Now, is it gonna make a difference on a day? So what I suggest to anybody is go pick up, I've got my 3 favorites are shad scent in the Liquid Mayhem. The Annie Scraw is probably my favorite now that it's out. My original favorite was a Pike and Muskie. Pick up a tube and give it a try. But when you want to try it is not on a day where you can throw anything at the fish and they'll hit it. I mean, when those conditions happen, we just say thank you. I've had a year like that in 2023 on vacation up north where I didn't even have to try and I caught the most fish I ever have. This year I was up there, I worked my tail off, fished longer, and I caught half the amount of fish. It just was one of those years. Weather, cold fronts, wind, fishing can just be boom or bust, and sometimes it doesn't make sense as to why it's boom or bust. But what I'd suggest in trying this is, especially if you got someone in the boat, fish the same baits. One, use the scent, one not, but do it on a day that it's tough to catch fish. Not a day where they're jumping in the boat, because you're not going to be able to tell, did the scent really make a difference? Well, they might have held on to it longer, but if you're not getting bit and you know the fish are there, and if person using the scent catches 5 fish, the person without the scent catches 1, you know there's something to the scent, especially if you're using the same bait, the same weight. There's something to the scent. And that's how I want to see people try it, because that's how I saw it make a difference. I mean, I knew it worked, but if I needed any proof in my head that it was really making a difference, other than what I thought I already knew, seeing with my father-in-law and other people not use it, and all of a sudden start catching fish, that's the type of difference scent products make. And I really think people should try them. I'm not going to tell you they're 100% they're going to work. You got to try them for yourself, but keep an open mind. Kind of do a little science experiment just to see if it's actually making a difference. And you can be as skeptical as you want, but if you see that difference, just see what it can do for your fishing. It's going to be a game changer. And I mean, all you do is, I got for contrast, just on a napkin here, you just take it, put a little bit on there like that, and you're good to go. And like on a menace grub, I always kind of put it right, I either put it at the head of the bait, up near where the hook point goes through, or at least by the hook. And I generally do that because sometimes it will slowly wash down, so the head of the bait is generally better, with one exception, and that is either my absolute favorite bait in the world, this goofy little yum craw bug, and the small version is probably, at least for my river, the best size and honestly the best bait there is. I've caught more fish on these than any other bait, and it looks like nothing, but it looks like a craw. And smallmouth, unlike largemouth, maybe will only hit them if it has both pinchers. If one of the pinchers fall off, it's worthless. But this tip that I'm going to give you goes for both tubes and basically any hollow body bait. So what I do, hopefully this works with the camera, is the craw bug has an open cavity here. So what I'll do is take and put the scent into that open cavity. And what that does is when they, so I don't put a lot, but enough, when a fish comes and grabs that bait, so what's going to happen when they eat a real craw? And a tube looks like a craw, a tube looks like so many different things. Something's going to, best case, something's going to squirt into their mouth. Whether it's an appendage, whether it's some craw juices or minnow juices if you're fishing a tube like a jerk bait. But something's going to squirt in their mouth when they crush that bait. So if you put some scent in here, if I put some of that anise craw, when they bite on that tube, they're going to get kind of a positive stimulation, like something, this is real. Something came into their mouth when they squeezed it. So they're going to think real food. And they just kill these things. And that, I think, not only are you using the scent to draw them in, you're giving them the scent to give them that positive reaction that what they just munched down on is a real fish. So definitely check scents out. Yes, I'm on field staff, but before I was, this became my go-to, and forever long I'm on the team, this will be my go-to, and if I ever leave the team for any reason, this will still be my go-to. But yeah, definitely check out a gel scent. I think it can improve everybody's fishing, and you're going to catch more fish, but you're going to have to prove it to yourself. Or, like I said, just think of some of the baits you're using. If you really like the if you got into the max scent flatworm craze, think about what made that bait special, because it wasn't the shape. There are so many flatworms out there. It was that scent portion of the max worm. So you could have fished any other bait, put some scent on it, and likely had the exact same results. So keep an open mind, give a tube a shot. Like I said, gel scents are where it's at. They last, they give the trail, and give it a go, see how it works for you. Tight lines.